This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
Oh, yes, there he is, ready to rock and roll. How you doing, baby? You doing all right?
Great. I'm great. This is a really good wild card weekend. This is where Dolphins result notwithstanding, these games have been awesome. This was really fun.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. It was, listen, nobody expected the Dolphins. We were kind of fearful of a 45-10 game, 35-10 game, or something like that. And if it wasn't for Mike McDaniel's brain farts, they might have won that game. I mean, it's pretty rare to have a game to sit back and say, hey, guys, the coach fucked up our chances, right? Like special teams, you had nothing to do with it. Defense, you had nothing to do. We had nothing. It was that dude. He screwed it up with mismanaging everything, and so basically that's kind of what happened yesterday. It's like Mike McDaniel kind of pissed away your chance at actually coming up with one of the most shocking wins in playoff history.
I gotta say, he's one of my just in terms of the press conferences that we get from Mike McDaniel, the interviews that we get from Mike McDaniel, I find him really refreshing. I find him easy to root for. I like him. I get it that it seemed like it was an entire coaching staff. Maybe meltdown is too strong a word, but the obviously the basically game deciding delay of game seems like he really thought that was a first down. The other notable thing is that had they got the playoff in time, it was a terrible play. It wasn't going anywhere. It was getting swallowed up. I just hate those runs out of shotgun like that. They engulfed him way behind the line of scrimmage, so that wasn't going anywhere. But still, thrilling game. It's a bummer that it comes down to a weird quirk of coaching negligence, but a really fun game that honestly I didn't expect the Dolphins to be in. I did not think coming off everything that we've seen from Skylar this season. I didn't think they let him go downfield. I didn't think he wanted to go downfield. I thought their ceiling in terms of points was 12. So it was all really exciting.
I agree. You look at Mike McDaniel as a coach. You're staying with him, right? Because I look at the Dolphins and for the last few years, all the Bills did was just trash the Dolphins, beat them by tons and tons of points. I could argue the Dolphins should have won all 3 games this year.
Yeah,
they certainly should have won 3 weeks ago. McDaniel screwed that one up along with the players. Not Tua. Actually, Tua did everything to win that game. He threw 2 touchdowns in one drive to Sherfield and to Hill, and they both dropped touchdowns. And Braylon Sanders did not run down another touchdown that Tua threw. So that game was set up. They were running. He got away from the run, which would have helped out their offense, clock, less possessions for Josh, all these things. They literally, and yesterday, anything could have happened if you actually get the plays right. That 4th and 1, you should have converted it. And then you keep going. You were pretty close to already tying the game. Worst case scenario, you were alive in this contest. And I really like McDaniel overall. I just think he's got to fix his in-game. I mean, the man didn't win a challenge till week 18. So there's a lot of shit he has to fix in game, but his game planning and play design is elite as it gets.
Yeah, I think he's actually a great designer of an offense, and I think you have to give a little bit of a leash to people who haven't actually been in a head coaching position before. You also you don't want to be the team that is in a cycle of replacing the head coach every couple of years, because you're not doing any favors to your quarterback, to your young developing quarterback, who right now has a coach who fully believes in him, or at least if he doesn't, he sells it really well, right? You've got a system that is suited for him. I think that McDaniel has shown an ability to adapt to the hand that he's dealt, perhaps not immediately, but given a little bit of time, right? And I think McDaniel is somebody who probably gets better based on where he is in the sort of career arc. So, the team that has a choice ahead of them is the Chargers, right? Because that team actually seems to, you listen to them after that loss, they like Staley. Like those players like Staley almost to a man. Herbert, full endorsement for him. They really like him. But this is, well, I mean, a lot of this is play calling, right? Like that second half was a disaster. Like, how does Travis Etienne end up with twice the number of second half carries that Austin Eckler had?
Well, wait a minute. One team can run, the other one can't.
Yeah, but they got
San Diego, as I say, the Chargers are not a good running team this year. Actually, that's something, and I get it. But by the way, let me ask you something. Why doesn't the quarterback sell out a little bit more? How come he didn't run a little bit more to extend some plays and extend some drives? I wonder, because Josh Allen, well, you saw him yesterday. There was one play where he just said, "That's it, bro. I got to run this." I've seen Trevor Lawrence do that. He could have done it, and he didn't do it. You also, listen, this is how you live this year. You've lived by the pass. Eckler has over 100 catches. He's been, even though it's pathetic per catch, but he's been more of a receiver than he has been a runner. So nothing really changed in that game. You're running back.
I will say the thing with Eckler as a runner is he's a big play guy, right? Like it's not, they only gave him 5 carries in the second half and all of them were on first down. So super predictable usage, right? None of it went anywhere, but he's definitely a guy like that guy's got a bunch of plays of over 30 yards this year. So keep giving him chances and he's going to break one. Like that's the type of runner he is. That's the type of skilled player that he is generally. I couldn't believe that he only received 6 second half touches and they came out throwing. Like I didn't even mean to get us on this game, but I kind of understand coming out in the second half.
I love talking any choking stuff with Justin Herbert. I always enjoy that.
I kind of get coming out in the second half and just saying, you know what, we're gonna try to score on this drive, because if we score on this drive, the math is with us and there's almost no path, right? Like if they were to get a touchdown in the first possession of the second half, then it's just real hard. Like you can't make the math work on Jacksonville coming back. So I get throwing a lot there. I don't get not trying to like grind down clock a little bit. But you're right, they're not really built for it. It's not what they've been all year.
I mean, look, during the year he'll average 4, but in that game it was like 2 yards. They weren't really against that defense. They weren't really moving. You're right. They should have run more. There's no doubt. Listen, Kyle Shanahan should have run more against Tom Brady with a 25-point lead. When I look at the guy we have here, he's done some of that brain fart shit too this year. When you're gouging the Bills 7 yards a carry, and here comes 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, and you're passing. It's like, yo, moron, let's go. Keep it simple, stupid. Keep running the ball. You're punching them in the mouth. The Green Bay game. You're gouging them 9 yards a carry. Here comes 3rd and 3, and you decide to pass again. You get cute. And so McDaniel sometimes outthinks himself. And maybe Brandon Staley does the same thing. Or, by the way, it wasn't really Staley. It's Carmichael, right? I think is the name of the offensive coordinator. So he's the guy that, needs to be criticized because he's the guy that's calling the pass plays. But again, if Justin Herbert is who he is, if Justin Herbert is what some people make him out to be, not me, but others out there, you got to make some plays too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there was a lot of both within,
a lot of underneath stuff. There's no balls going downfield and taking some chances, bro. And you need more of that.
Some of that was the absence of Mike Williams. I will say though that there was, there's all this optimism about Herbert coming into the season, not only on the part of the fantasy community but the NFL community at large. Like we turned him into an elite quarterback before he'd really backed it up, right? Like last year, last year had great years.
Don't include me in the we, bro. Don't include me.
No. Hey, believe me,
I've never been a believer of that kid. I'm sorry. I see Jeff George. That's what I see. Seriously, I see an athletic Jeff George.
Yeah,
I really do. I don't see a guy that plays with Josh Allen's moxie, balls, determination, will. Which, by the way, Lawrence, determination, balls, will. he's going to do
Man,
what.
well, let me while I'm thinking of it, let me just tell you something about Trevor Lawrence. To have thrown 4 interceptions in the first half, and to have made that touchdown pass to Evan Ingram, which is barely open. That thing was like, that was NFL open, right? Like it's only open for a second, and only if you put it over one guy and between two others. Like, that is an incredible throw to make, having already basically given the game away, right? Like, you've thrown 4 picks already, and you're going to put that ball out there to your tight end. Like, no fear. Like, whatever else you think of Trevor Lawrence in his first half performance, absolutely zero fear. Knew the throw to make, made it. You can definitely imagine wanting to go to war with that guy.
That's what I'm saying, and that's the part that when I look at that dude, I see a lot of the skill set. Forget about it. There's no arguing about Herbert's skill set. It is elite as elite it gets, dude. You know, he wows you with these throws, but when you look at the substance, the total substance of it, you still had one touchdown in that game. You had 12 yards rushing. You had your size, your ability, your speed, your strength. Brother, I see other guys like you manufacture a drive. Take it into your own hands. I've never seen that kid play like Trevor Lawrence or like Josh Allen when he has the ability to play like them. And that's where I just think that there's that it is missing from him. I think everybody's wowed with the pure ability, which that's how we used to say about Jeff George. Oh my God. Did you see that throw? Did you see that guy's arm? Did you see he put up 400 yards today? And then when you really need him, he was going to get small in those moments. And that's my problem with this kid. I don't see him grow in those moments. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think it's a fair comparison.
Even inaccurate Cam Newton would sell out and do whatever the hell he needed to do to win. And he doesn't have the accuracy that this kid has.
Yeah.
But you got to add that other element next to your beautiful talent is all I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, it like maybe the right comp is like Jay Cutler if Jay wasn't a jerk, right? Right? Like, Justin Herbert seems
another
like a really nice guy. Yeah,
another guy that
in the
wowed
world
you with his talent. You
and
know,
if you put him in a generic skills competition, he would probably win it, right? Like, absolutely looks the part. Remember when Herbert was coming into the league, my Yahoo colleague Charles Robinson always said, he didn't know exactly how he would finish up as in terms of reputation in the NFL, but for damn sure he wouldn't, like, if he was an agent representing any other quarterback in that class, he would tell his guy, don't sit next to Justin Herbert. Don't let yourself get photographed next to Justin Herbert, because Herbert looks the part, right? Like, he's huge, right. Yes. Chiseled, Perfect. Absolutely looks the part, but hasn't played to it just yet.
Perfect. The two kids in weird science created the perfect quarterback, bro. Seriously, perfect. I mean, you can't build it any perfect than Justin Herbert. You really cannot. Yeah. Okay, because even his accuracy is better than Josh Allen's. You know, Josh will still brain fart you, and he'll
be a weird year for Josh Allen. Yeah,
right. Like, what Josh is a clutch bitch. Yeah. Like, he'll miss some throws, but then in the key moment when you need a play, that's where he just has that it quality about him. You know what I mean? Trevor, on the other hand, is accurate, aggressive, will run, will take a beating, will, just fearless. And like you just said, when you throw that many interceptions and you don't go into the abyss, you are as mentally strong as it gets. And one of them obviously was not his fault, that the referees just missed, Samuel just practically mugging a human being right on the field. I mean, Samuel should be serving like 10 days in jail for that mugging right there. I mean,
and that one actually didn't even really have consequences, because I think that one was on 4th down. Like, it was fine. They were going to turn it over anyway. The first interception was like batted by 2 different guys, right? So there were a little bit of flukiness, but the next 2 were bad throws. Like, a couple of them were bad throws. And then just to come back and stick the throw that he did for the touchdown, I thought was incredible.
I didn't think they would come back. I thought it was over at 27-0 because I just don't look at their offense to be that explosive. You know what I'm saying? And
yet they've done, like, they did it against the Raiders, right? Like, it's not the first time that we've seen them, buried in a game and then come roaring back. And they get Calvin Ridley next year too.
But you know why we overlooked that? Because the Raiders do that with everybody else.
Yes, for sure. Absolutely true. They get Calvin Ridley next year, and that's gonna that offense is gonna be really fun.
Yeah, Josh says, guys, our lead is 14 points. Can we stop playing now? Okay, that's over. Okay, this is where we give the game back, guys. Okay, there we go. All right, everybody. Yeah. All right, good. Let's go to the buffet when we're done. All right. So anyway, Lamar Jackson. He sent a message to his team today. Did you see that?
Oh, I haven't seen this. I do not know.
Yes, very interesting. So I'd like to know where you stand, because this will affect dynasty leagues down the line. When you have something good, Jackson posted on Instagram, you don't play with it. You don't take chances losing it. You don't neglect it. When you have something good, you pour into it. You appreciate it, because when you take care of something good, that good takes care of you too. Well, this really sounds like a Campbell's soup commercial. But anyway, so overall, obviously he's not happy. He wants his new contract. This is a very interesting dynamic for me. Personally, I would not give him a new contract. I don't believe in him as a passer. I was going back and forth with a Raven fan last night. I said, you guys realize that if you actually got like a good passer, a real passer, with the way that team plays defense and can run the ball, you would be Super Bowl contenders, not just playoff participants, and he agreed with me on that. And whether it's Jackson or Huntley, I still think you need to take it to the next level, but you're in a tough place. You've designed an offense for him.
Yeah, that's the thing
that you've committed to him. Yeah,
it's not that different from what Miami is. I mean, they're different players, but it's not that different from what Miami is trying to build with Tua. Like, you build your offense to the player, and that's what they've done. And again, it's the NFL. You can't just like shake the Etch-a-Sketch every couple years and think that you're going to reinvent it and it's all going to be fine. Like, if you move on from Lamar Jackson, you're in the doldrums for 4 years. Like, that is a decision to be bad for a little while. That's not you're not going to get like Derek Carr and come roaring back next season. It's just not going to happen. Like, they built it around Lamar.
Listen, you're so in it that you have Huntley as your backup, that you're getting a guy that's kind of like him, so he can do a lot of the things that you normally do, and you don't have to change it up, because it was so weird. You've got Lamar, and then Joe Flacco's backing him up, and it's like, what? That whole offense?
Totally, absolutely wrong. I will also say that team, like, and this is a real crack in the armor for the Ravens right now, because J.K. Dobbins was ripping his usage immediately after the game, right? Like, Dobbins came out of that thing, and I'll also say, like, you'll see J.K. Dobbins ask out of a game several times, and so then to go immediately to the press afterwards and say, how do I end up with whatever it was, 13 touches? How is that not me getting the ball in the goal line instead of Huntley trying to stick it out? Like, I don't know, man. Like, that's a bad look. And like Sammy Watkins, who just showed up on the scene criticizing Lamar Jackson, is a really bad look. The only guy that really stuck up for Lamar and had his back at all was Marlon Humphrey. I don't know. That's a bad scene in Baltimore right now, off of a pretty competitive loss. I
gotta say something. Lamar Jackson did the right thing. Why? He'd only put himself in a bad. Listen, he's not a pocket passer.
Yeah, well, if you're Lamar Jackson,
a guy with a bad knee, makes him a pocket
This isn't
passer.
like Phillip Rivers playing on a bad knee. This is somebody whose everything is predicated off of his ability to run the football, and he's got such gravity as a runner, and so many of the few good things that have happened for him as a passer this year have happened because defense is like, you're sucked up. You're like, uh-oh, Lamar's taken off, and then somebody's wide open, deep downfield. Like, those are the best moments. I mean, they have a trash receiving core.
Favre years ago played with that knee that was just mangled, but he could do that because he just needs to snap, take 3 steps back, and make a decision and throw, because that's who he was.
Yeah.
So guys like that, like Marino, his Achilles was all screwed up for the rest of his life. He didn't need it. He was going to move 2 steps this way, 2 steps that way, 1 step forward, 1 step back. That's it, dude. He was just going to do a samba. You know, he's just going to just a little samba. He wasn't going to start running around all over the place. You know, he didn't need that. And
there's absolutely no point
right.
asking Lamar Jackson to just be a pocket passer throwing the ball to frickin' Demarcus Robinson and Sammy Watkins. Like, that ain't gonna work. Like, your receivers are terrible. You're not fundamentally like a stuck in the pocket sort of passer. If you can't get on the move, you're not Lamar Jackson. You have no hope of being the MVP version of Lamar Jackson. So I totally get that. No part of me thinks that he should have played. It sounds like it's a pretty significant knee injury. And again, you're not Drew Bledsoe. You're not Phillip Rivers. You're not just some guy who's a statue back there. Your whole game is your ability to move.
And by the way, now we get this. I always love this. I got game. New Jersey says, if Lamar played last night, Baltimore wins. Really? Does he win in the playoffs? I'm sorry. I must have missed that breaking news. What usually happens to Lamar when he gets to the playoffs? Oh, thanks for playing. Appreciate it.
I mean, not this version, not Lamar if he can't move. I don't think they win. But
either way, when he's every year he falls short in the playoffs. That's where he falls short, dude. That's where he doesn't really.
The guy's pretty young. The guy's pretty young. I feel like Lamar's going to win in the playoffs.
I'm not a believer in his arm. Eventually, once you get to the playoffs, they shut your run down and they force you to beat you from the pocket, and that's not where he's going to win. Look, right now, I still don't believe in your boy. I don't believe in Lamar, but Jalen Hurts is the one guy out of the running quarterbacks that he's the one that's improving his accuracy.
Well, they've given Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, and Devontae Smith. Let's give Lamar some weapons. Let's give Justin Fields some
but
weapons.
Even with those weapons, I've watched him drop it right in the basket. Like, accuracy has improved with Jalen Hurts, and he does it with all his receivers. It doesn't matter who it is, even tight ends or whatever. His accuracy has improved. And to me, all of these running quarterbacks, until you learn to beat people consistently from the pocket and use the running ability as the weapon, not as the main part of your game, you will not live long in this league and they will break you down. And so to me, your boy has to take that next step where Jalen is at. If you're stuck in that abyss where Lamar's been at, that you have the limited passing tree and you're not accurate all the time, and if you look at his games, you'll see he'll miss people wide open. And sometimes they're in the end zone when he's missing them wide open. A lot of times this year they had to settle for threes because he could not complete the drives. And the Miami game was a perfect example. You take a 21-point lead.
Yeah.
And here comes Tua back, and the defense keeps shutting you down, and you can't answer. And you can't answer because you can't run. Because Miami shut down the run. You got that one run in, the 74-yarder. Outside of that, you couldn't do any damage. You got to beat people from the pocket. All of these running quarterbacks have got to beat it. And the one guy that I'm buying now is Jalen Hurts because he's showing it to me. Your guy better get to that point because
I have now realized
what people live on the run. You cannot.
I have now realized what people are going to say if the Eagles actually win the Super Bowl this year, which is that, Jalen became a pocket passer instead of focusing on the fact that
he got better. No, he got better because he still has his moments. He got his moments, but they got him receivers. You are correct. They did get him receivers. Of course, you got to get receivers. Marino had Clayton and Duper, bro.
Yeah.
Montana had Rice and Taylor and excellent tight ends and Roger Craig and Mahomes has always had weapons too, and he's got one of the best tight ends to ever play in the damn game and all that.
Yeah.
Everybody needs weapons, dude. Okay. Bradshaw had Stallworth and Swan and Franco Harris and everything else. So everybody has weapons. Yes, but you got to be accurate too. And that's the one thing for the running guys, once you get that hook, because I think that's where we're headed now, Andy. In the next 10 to 20 years, the evolution of the quarterback will be much more mobile, and you'll get more of the combination of the guy that is mobile and accurate, which has not been the norm, as you know, in the history.
I actually think that Trevor Lawrence is kind of the model for this because Trevor Lawrence can run. And if they asked him to do it, Oh yeah, for sure. If they ask, like, I think Trevor Lawrence is every bit the runner that Josh Allen is. He certainly was in college, and if they asked him to do it more, he'd get you more. Like that guy could run for 500 yards a year. It's definitely in his skill set. You saw it in the Jets game. He's great at it. They just happen to not ask him to do it at this time. Like if you can't already tell, I was wowed by Trevor Lawrence's ability to come back in that game.
It keeps you alive in this game. You have to be
Yeah,
able to beat them in the pocket, so that way they're not forcing you to run and take all those hits. Because you're a quarterback, bro. You're not built to take hits. There's no way. They broke down Cam Newton, dude. That guy's
yeah.
built like Adonis. So all these running quarterbacks, they got to be able to do. They got to be able in certain games say, "Oh, really? Okay, watch. I'm going to stay right here. Da 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 da,"
Yeah,
and you're
for
done.
sure.
And it's over.
For
And
sure.
on the next game, I'm going to go da da, and then I'm going to run for another 75 yards. So you don't know what the hell I'm going to do. Look at Trevor Lawrence. He needed all those points, yet he didn't run. What was his stats? Trevor Lawrence yesterday, day before. What was it? I think he ran for like 12 yards or something like
Yeah,
that.
it wasn't much. It wasn't much, and they didn't do any of the
Right, because,
design stuff with him. Yeah,
why? Because he could stay in the pocket and beat you. And so use the run as the weapon. Don't
yeah.
use it as the main part of your game. And
Well, that's what Mahomes has mastered, right? Like Mahomes doesn't do it all game, and then he breaks off a 25-yard. Like when they absolutely need it on third and long, he'll get you like 21 yards of the ground.
that's when I think the Jalen Hurts and the Justin Fields are going to become the nastiest guys out there, because once they settle in the pocket and they can beat you and then they
Yeah,
can use their legs, oh my God, it's impossible to stop those
yeah.
kind of
I'm with you.
athletes. And plus, you, running only ends like where Lamar is, where Justin ended, where Cam Newton ended. It just doesn't pay off, man. Eventually, they're
Yeah.
going to break you down because these guys are too tough and too strong. So, what do you think? What happens with the Lamar Jackson situation? How does Baltimore? I agree with you. I think they agree to a deal, but I think because he doesn't have an agent, I think a lot of this guaranteed stuff is what's going to get in the way.
I it feels like they're gonna be headed for like a franchise situation, which is really unfortunate because it just kicks it down the road. It seems pretty clear to me that Lamar is asking for top dollar, as anyone is entitled to, and the Watson contract is a real wrinkle in quarterback contracts right now. But if he holds firm to that, or if he won't accept like a shorter term deal for a ton of money, I don't know. We might be headed to a franchise situation and just more. We're gonna be talking about this for another 2 years.
Yeah, I'm with you there. All right, we got a game tonight, Cowboys and Buccaneers. Let's go with a little daily fantasy. So we get ready. Dak Prescott today, passing yards, 247 and a half, higher or lower?
Yeah, I'd go higher on that. They might be kind of junky yards. To be honest with you, I don't know what to expect from this game because either team can no show. We've seen it. Like either team can absolutely no show. I'm
I said the
still
same thing, dude.
I I
You
think
can't
it's
trust
so.
the Cowboys, and Brady could look old.
Yeah, yeah, and that's a really frisky Dallas defense. The Tampa Bay defense, by the way, is at least in Yahoo's daily game, they're a minimum price defense. They're like $10, and they're facing a guy who led the NFL in interceptions. So that seems like a reasonable play if you're doing any kind of DFS. I've absolutely no idea what to expect. It's part of the reason that I'm really looking forward to this game. It's crazy. These two teams gave us the regular season game of the year just last year, and they couldn't stop scoring. It was so fun. And now Dallas could give us anywhere from 6 points to 46 points, and I wouldn't be surprised. I never have any idea what to expect from Dallas. And Tampa, until they got the one game against Carolina, couldn't get anything explosive downfield. I have no idea. I'll tell you that I've set like some single game lineups for this thing, and I've got Godwin going for me. I feel like Godwin's going to have a game. I feel like Tony Pollard can have a game because Tampa's been.
Let me ask you, hold on. Tony Pollard rushing 47 and a half, Ezekiel 49.5 rushing. Higher or lower, which one do you like most?
Oh yeah, I like Pollard there. The real strength of Tampa's run defense is between the tackles, and that's what they do with Zeke, right? Like they plow Zeke in between the tackles. They run him right up the gut, and he's good in short yardage situations, but he's not been some monster. He's not picking up 5-6 yards a carry, anything like that. They don't care about getting Zeke to the edge. They're gonna run him between the tackles for tough yards, and he's not going to be particularly efficient. He might fall into the end zone, but I don't think he's going over 50 yards.
Okay. By the way, Dak, 1.5 touchdowns, over or under?
Wouldn't bet it.
Okay.
If you're making me guess, I'd say 2. I'd say he throws 2 touchdowns, but I wouldn't bet it because I have so little faith.
Okay. CeeDee Lamb, 76.5 yards receiving or 6 receptions. Michael Gallup, 3 receptions, 37.5 yards receiving. Higher or lower for any of those?
Yeah, CeeDee Lamb I really like because they've just built the whole offense around him over the last month or so, right? It's totally common for him to now see like a dozen targets in a game. That wouldn't surprise. 120 yards wouldn't surprise. CeeDee Lamb's been basically the most bankable part of that offense for the last month or so. Gallup is, he kind of is what he is. He's a high variance guy. They might take a deep shot or two. His best moments this season have been improvisational moments, right? When Dak is just scrambling and has to find somebody. So it's hard to rely on that. I think Dalton Schultz probably a better bet tonight than Michael Gallup. Don't really like that at all.
Okay. All right. One more before we go and wrap it up here. On the other side, Tom Brady, passing yards 277.5. Interceptions 0.5. Higher or lower? Which one do you like most?
Yeah, I'll take the over on both of those. I think that's definitely happening. I think Dallas will turn you over. I think Brady's going to have to put the ball in the air a ton. I don't have much faith in. Tampa's running game was terrible this year overall. Don't have much faith in Leonard Fournette. He's stumbling around like Frankenstein out there. So I think this is going to have to be all on Tom Brady. It might not be. Yeah, we might not get a huge touchdown total out of Brady, but I think he's going over 300 yards in this thing.
Ricard White, are you going over under 35.5 yards since you don't like Fournette?
I might go under there. I bet they lean on Fournette, which, for better or worse. I don't think he's looked very good, but they've had some games where they just feed him and feed him and feed him.
All right. Godwin, you like over 69.5 yards receiving and 7 receptions. Which one?
Yeah, Godwin I really like. Definitely over the yardage. That's a big reception total. I feel like he can finish with 7 catches for 80 plus yards. That is definitely in play. Get a touchdown. I think that's probably where you'd attack this Dallas defense.
65 yards for Mike Evans, over and under. Where are you going?
I don't love it. They haven't really forced the ball to him necessarily. Probably going to see a lot of digs. Sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes it's a bad thing. But they haven't really forced it to him. And I just, especially against that Dallas pass rush, I see a lot of short stuff. I don't know. It feels like Otten, like Fournette, like Godwin. I don't know. I could be entirely wrong about this, but I don't think we're going to see all those deep shots that, like the Carolina game is such an outlier for Mike Evans this year because he was just blowing past the coverage and just had his hand up right away, like, oh, I'm here. But we've only seen that once this year. So I'm not counting on it again.
All right, what do you got going on in Yahoo so folks can check you out at Yahoo Fantasy?
Yeah, we've still got the Yahoo Fantasy Forecast going. That is our podcast. We're going to be reviewing all the games tomorrow from a great wild card round. And then on Thursday, the guys will be previewing the next round.
There you go. Great stuff as always. Follow him on Twitter at Andy Behrens. Andy, thank you, my brother. We'll catch up next week. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Big O. Appreciate it.
There you go. Plenty of football talk. That's how it's going to be with the segments. That way we get you ready for fantasy, but we're really talking pretty much football. That is our Sports Grill Fantasy Football Zone with 8 great locations. You got to check out the new Doral location. It is awesome. And don't forget $1.50 Bud Light drafts and bottles during the NFL games. We got one going on tonight with the Dallas Cowboys. They've added some new cocktails, the cherry lemonade and the tailgate tea, only $5. Domestic pitchers are $12. Bone-in wings, 15% off. And it is Monday. You get the single smash burger for only $7 at 8 great locations. Sports Grill. Enjoy it, baby.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.